Megalopolis.
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 Hey.
What you got for us, Megalopolis?
I really want to see this trailer.
When does an empire die?
Right now.
Does
Right
it
now is when it
collapse
does.
in
It's happening. We're there.
We're there. We're here right now.
I've missed you, sweetie. I've missed you so much.
But there comes a time when its people no longer believe in it.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
Francis Ford Coppola. Speaking of Nick Cage's family.
Of the old age. Welcome.
Is this society, is this way we're living, the only one that's available to us?
That visually stunning trailer with a lot of bisexual lighting.
Actual lighting.
Yeah, all the blues and pinks.
And when we ask these questions, when there's a dialogue about them, that basically is a utopia.
See, there it is.
I mean, it's turning me bad.
There you go.
Okay, does anyone understand what's happening in this movie?
I have no idea what's happening in this trailer. And like, I want to watch
Look
it.
at
There's
that
so many pretty
cast.
pictures. For me as a designer, this is so pretty. I want to go see whatever this is.
This
'cause
is
it's so
pretty as hell.
It's
Okay.
beautiful.
Okay, I love Francis Ford Coppola. Okay, he has given me so much joy in my life, but this I do not understand. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna watch it because it's Francis Ford Coppola. And he put his money.
Speaking of Nick Cage's family.
Gosh. However, I don't understand this is supposed to be his epic film. His epic.
Yeah, his big magnum opus epic. Hi, babe.
Hey, sweetie.
Oh, our favorite member of the party. Yeah. Okay. So since it is Francis Ford Coppola, that means the actors were absolutely tortured on set. That means there is a lot of visual set building, like a lot of visual ours happening there, which we absolutely saw. And the trailer, in no way are we going to have any idea what this movie is really going to be about until you see it. That just sounds like a Francis Ford Coppola special. Great cast of literally everyone. So I'm just going to call it right now. I'm going to call it. If this movie has to really suck, otherwise it's going to be an Academy Award contender.
100%. 100%.
We're
This
early in the
movie,
year.
absolutely.
We're
We'll see
early
it.
in the year. We haven't gotten a lot of them so far. A lot of big, beautiful, hard A-list driven.
Love lies bleeding. Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. So, anyways, this movie, I'm gonna go. It has to blow to not be an Academy Award winning nomination for it. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Okay, this is. I really feel like.
Quote me next year.
I really feel like Francis Ford Coppola, he decided to put $20 million of his own money into this film in a way to kind of say fuck you to Hollywood and mean that.
And also fuck you to Tarantino. Oh, you think you can't make good movies when you're old? Let me show you something, kiddo.
No, but in the most disrespectful way possible. This man has done The Godfather. He's done Apocalypse Now. He's done The Rainmaker. He is done.
Dracula, being Nick Cage's uncle. He's done so much.
I drink his winery's wine on the regular. This is not
That is
Francis
good wine.
Ford Coppola being simple, basic, he's coming for people's necks with this film. And I simply just want a trailer that tells me what the film is about, and that sometimes that neutralizes the bad press that the film's been getting recently. Because there's been a lot of talk from crew members that have been saying that, it wasn't a great time on set. Like Jared, how you said that,
Oh, I didn't even hear that gossip, and I knew it was no, it's Francis Ford Coppola. He tortures crew and cast. That's what he does.
Here's the thing. The reality is, if you're working crew, you're probably having a bad time. I will be openly and honestly, the reality is
that's why I became an actor, because I've done crew on set, and I was like, the actors have the best time. I want to go do that.
Absolutely. And that's what's been so tough about supporting the strikes is the actors have the best time on a film set. You know what I mean? Capped at their 8-hour day, 10 plus travel. You know what I mean? You actually look at the breakdown. Crew are getting there for at least a 12 if we're not hitting overtime, and then it's 12 plus 1 once you include lunch, and then it's an hour of travel, and they can push you on your overtime. They can just keep you there. there and like still turn you around the next day. And there isn't like pushing call, like dealing with any of that stuff the next day. It's like grueling and brutal. So then when you have a director that like has such a specific vision in their head of the way that things lay out, that's going to reflect in longer days, harder hours, pushed lunches, pushed calls, and like draining asks on a crew. Like as somebody that's in the art department that deals with like SPFX all the time, that deals with like high requests from directors all the time, it's exhausting. I have crews quit all the time. People can't manage what those hours are all the time, and like it's not, and like it's tough because then you turn around and go like, we're not the only career that does 12-hour days, and like we get to play pretend for a living, and how magical is it that we get to show up for our job and we're like putting in really long hours to play pretend for something that's like so beautiful. Like truly, that trailer's so beautiful. I will absolutely volunteer as Tribune to watch that movie. I will watch that movie, no problem. I will go to the theater. I will pay my movie ticket. But like, if we're actually like
stepping like, on the bones of the cast and crew that suffered to make that damn thing,
100%. But like, that's the thing. It's like we're suffering for art. You're not like getting.
It's all reluctant.
Yeah, like we all haven't been in that position exactly, you know. But
you know what I mean? You're not performing surgery. You're not like trying to talk somebody truly off the ledge of their balcony in a life or death situation. You're not getting fired at. Like you're playing pretend. Like, while I empathize and sympathize and like absolutely live the life of somebody that deals with directors asking for the world all the time, you are playing pretend. And so like you have to keep that in mind and not let it affect your social psyche or like your mental psyche in the way that you like approach your work every day, because like if you do, that's going to drain you as an artist. You have to be very clear about like your boundaries of an artist. But like, yeah, it's hard. Filmmaking's hard, man. We didn't do it because it's easy. It's hard. There's a reason why like there's a very limited number of people that do it, that make it to the top, that get an Oscar. Like there's a reason for that.
There's easier money to be made. You just have to like doing that. You have to love that hell. That's really what it boils down to. And I love that we're saying this just because that's FFC. Yeah, that's just because you're going to get tortured for how many months, but you got to say you work on an FFC film, like a Francis Ford Coppola film. You're like, do I have trauma? Sure. Do I need to cry for 6 months? Yes, absolutely. But you got to work on that set. You got to be there. You got your name in the credits, and so you do it because we love it. We all love films. There's not one person on any set that doesn't love films and TV. Doesn't love being there.
You're right.
It's a fun nightmare. It's a fun torture.
We hate it, but we love it at the same time. And Sarah, it's not to say that you're not right. Like it is, sometimes it can be a brutal job being a member of the crew, being below the line on these sets, or even being above the line on these sets, because at that point, when you're above the line, you're beholden and you're responsible to answer to the studios, right? Mm-hmm. However, I think there's a lot of times when crew members are on sets, and I've been a crew member, so I'm saying this with the utmost care. We tend to exaggerate shit because we feel bad. It's been a long day. It was a long day yesterday. It was a long day the day before, and it's going to be even longer days next week until this production is done. And therefore, we're going to vent, and we're going to tell people how we feel, and we're also going to amplify the fact that we feel bad, as opposed to remembering the fact that, you know what, this is actually something that we want to do. We get paid pretty well. We get fed while we're at it. There's a lot of different perks. And
I do it for the craft. And by craft, I mean the craft table, the food.
Well, most times
Robert De Niro, that was his advice to Jessica Chastain, is beware of the craft table.
Right. But most times the good outweighs the bad when you're a crew member. And this is why when it's all these like potentially looming strikes when it comes to the IATSE union in the States, you're just like, okay, I understand how the job is rough. We've all been there. However, is the job really that rough? Would you really?
Yes, in regards to cost of living. Yes, in regards to like the hours. Yes, in regards to like, there's like, it is truly cheaper for production to pay to bring in lunch than it is for us to let people go for an hour. And that's because it keeps everybody there. It keeps us on schedule. There's nobody coming back late from lunch because they've kept you there. And so they've done that math. Like that's why those things exist, is to keep the flow of traffic running. That's why it can't be shorter days. That's why it can't be less hours.
Over being on a film set if your joy and your passion is filmmaking. Like there's a lot of things that tend to get exaggerated, and the things that tend to get exaggerated are the bad aspects of being on set. However, and this is why one of his producers had to come to defend him and be like, listen, it was part of the process. Nothing really horrible went down. People weren't abused in any way, but they were disgruntled because they felt a ways about it, because they, in their opinion, the filmmaking process wasn't going as they should. And that's a lot of the times below the line crew members who don't understand the decisions that are being made by the directors and the producers and the cast in some circumstances. Well, they put their own story on it and they spin it, and then they start talking to media outlets and be like, this is what happened.
Yes and no. I mean, like, even what we call rap, like, actors are getting in cars and going back to their trailer and getting deprocessed. Camera crew is now still deconstructing for the next hour. Grip crew still deconstructing for probably the next hour. You know, an art department probably there for another 2 to 3 hours. AD team there for another hour till the actors are signed out and in shuttles on their way home. Like, actors are coming in
sending out call sheets
for
the
10
next
hours.
day.
You know what I mean? Like, crew is there for their 12 plus their 1 hour lunch plus their 1 hour each way of travel, plus down the line. So I get how if you're going, even if it's 1 hour, as a director, you're then getting in your shuttle or getting in your car and walking away. Your crew is still deconstructing for hours at the end of a day if you're still pushing on your wrap time. Your job as a director is to get your day. Your job with your assistant director is to get your day on schedule, on time. And to be, as a director, like, to work with your DOP, your PAD, your actors, to get, and your AD, to get your shots, to, like, get what you need to tell that movie in the edit. And you have a specific amount of time to do those things, and your AD's job is to keep you on track with those things. If you're taking more than 2 or 3 takes to get those things, you haven't done your prep work for your actors, or you haven't, like, prepped your DOP, and your DOP hasn't prepped their steady cam, or, like, you need, in regards to what the motions are to make those things happen. But it's like, the minute you start adding those minutes, those hours for that below the line crew, you're going to have an angry crew. Whatever you do, like, it might be the most gorgeous Oscar-worthy picture you ever made. It won't matter. Your below the line crew will feel that way the second you hit OT, even if they're making the money for it.
And the fact is, that's why it's very important to keep those people as happy and as comfortable as possible in whatever way that you can. But also, let's not forget, while they're deconstructing and the actors and the directors and the producers have gone home, there's tons of prep work. There's hours of prep work that's going on that night to make sure that the next day and the next week goes as smoothly as possible. So it is just a hard business, hard process all around. And I think we all, if you work in filming, you just need to be cognizant of the fact that you're not the only one going through shit. Some people just hide it better than others, because that's what they're paid to do.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly it, is that below the line crew doesn't really see what their keys are doing, or what the director is doing, or what producers are doing behind closed doors. It's a very split division. As somebody that, like, exactly that, goes home and, like, preps the schedule for the next week, preps the decks for the next week, is sending out the maps and, like, dealing with my team in regards to, like, photos and CADs and, like, what's going out to each member so that they have a list going forward for the next day, the next week, of, like, where things are at. That's not necessarily a seen thing in the same way as, like, being at the set.
So bottom line, go see Francis Ford Coppola's torture porn, Megalopolis, coming to you this summer.
Francis.